Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again, today with a brand new video, and every single content drop, whether it be a mini set or expansion, we like to go over what's the most broken, what's the worst card so far from that content drop. And we're gonna do that today, although with a bit of a twist. I'll talk about it in a second. And before we get into that, just a reminder that tomorrow we'll be doing our giveaway winner. So it's your last chance to enter. All you have to do is like and comment on the video in the description below, as well as be subscribed to the channel, and you'll have a chance of winning $100 of Hearthstone packs out of my wallet. So to do this, I normally use HS Replay, and I categorize by best and worst deck win rates and go by that. But I'm just gonna tell you straight out the gate, we are not doing a most broken video. We're only doing a worst stuff video. If you take a look at the cards that are the most broken, there are 6 cards from the latest mini set in Legend ranks that are included in decks that have a positive win rate. This mini set has been very underwhelming, so I think it would be very fitting to it to only go over the cards that absolutely suck. So we'll be going over the 10 worst cards so far. Again, this is using HS Replay. The data range is from Legend since the mini set launched, and well, let's go over what are the 10 most garbage cards so far from the mini set. And starting off at number 10, we have a card that I thought would be a lot higher, and that's Frontlines. The Paladin spell, summon a minion from each player's deck, repeat until either side of the battlefield is full. This is currently in 0.8% of decks, has a deck win rate of 43.3%, and has been played 2,000 times. This card doesn't even work the way it's written. The way it's written, you would summon a player from each minion's deck, that's how it would read, and then you would repeat after that for its effect. But if the turn starts off with anybody's board being full, it doesn't even work at all. So currently, it's either bugged or worded really badly, because compared to a card like Spreading Plague, it just doesn't make any sense. But overall, it's a 9-mana payoff card that's really hard to cheat out and revolves your opponent in not having a board, and it's just bad. Although some big Paladin lists have used it, have had very minor success with it, it is definitely not living up to the hype. Next, we have a card that shocks me on here. I thought this card would be quite good. So far, hasn't been fantastic, and I honestly don't see it a ladder like ever, and that's Coilfang Constrictor at number 9 in only 0.9% of decks, 43.2% deck win rate, and played 2,400 times, the most from any card on this list. And yeah, the ability to see your opponent's 3 cards, choose one they can't play, just doesn't turn out to be, I guess, restrictive enough, good enough that it really gives a good pop-off type of thing. I've seen it in Wild a bit with Shutterwalk Shaman. Maybe it's got more validity there, but overall, this disruption hasn't really found home in Standard in a good deck. But I expect this card to see play at some point in a good style deck. Maybe it's just because Shaman in Standard in particular is struggling, therefore Coilfang is, because it goes well with the Battlecry package. But overall, yeah, Coilfang not doing so hot. At number 8, we have a very limited sample size on this card, not the most limited. That's reserved to number 1. We have Herald of Shadows, this garbage Warlock card, 3 mana 4/2 Battlecry. If you cast a Shadow spell while holding this, steal 2 health from a minion. Super underwhelming in 0.02% of decks, a 43.2% deck win rate, and played 100 times in Legend, at least across HS Replay users since the mini set. Just a bad card. The effect doesn't really matter. Like, you're getting a 3 mana 4/4 that takes 2 elf. That's really good in Arena, but you've had to cast a Shadow spell while holding it, and the board needs to matter for you to kind of win the game, which basically no Warlock deck seems to really care about outside of like Murloc, Warlock, and why would they run this? So overall, yeah, the card is not doing very well. At number 7, we have a Priest card in Disarming Elemental, the 4 mana 4/4 elemental Battlecry Dredge for your opponent, set its cost to 6. This is in 0.6% of decks, 42.8% deck win rate, and it's been played 1,400 times. Just the archetypes this goes into in Priest and Standard currently aren't good. Like, you're gonna play it in Quest Priest, that deck is not doing well, and Naga Priest doesn't want that. That just want to spam cheap stuff, and Boar Priest doesn't want it. So it just doesn't have a home right now. I don't think this card is particularly terrible. I think it's really cool design. I expect it maybe to pop up later, but overall, again, it's a card that's decent but doesn't have a place to fit in. And number 6, we have a card I'm glad to see doing poorly because it's toxic, and that's Immolate, the 4 mana fire spell for Warlock. Light every card in the opponent's hand on fire in 3 any still in hand are destroyed. The animation of this card's really cool. It looks like it gets progressively more burnt in your opponent's hand, but it's 4 mana, do nothing for 3 turns, only good against combo decks, and as a result, it's only in 1.1% of decks, 41.9% deck win rate, and played 2,900 times. I really hope Immolate does not become a meta card where they go crazy and buff it, but yeah, so far it's as bad as kind of expected. And speaking of Warlock cards, yes, all three from the mini set made the list, and at number 5, we have the card I said was possibly the worst legendary ever, and it is the worst legendary on this list, Commander Ulthok, the 5-mana 7/7 Warlock minion. Battlecry, your opponent's cards cost health instead of mana next turn. It's Millhouse Mana Storm effectively for 5 mana, unless your opponent's health is low, which is not easy to do in Warlock right now. It is in 0.2% of decks, 40.8% deck win rate, and only played 180 times at Legend. The card's just not good. It's an unplayable card unless your opponent's health is low, which means you're likely winning the game anyways, because the main decks that push your opponent's health low are Curse Warlock, which is going to have more damage, and Murloc Warlock, which just cares about the board anyways. So it's a really kind of bad Lotheb, and the numbers really reflect that so far. At number 4, we have another Priest card, Priest and Warlock on here, huh? What a surprise. Drown, 4-mana Shadow Spell. It's Entomb for 2 mana less, and it still sucks, apparently. You put an enemy minion on the bottom of your deck. It is in 0.7% of decks, 40.3% deck win rate, and played 2,000 times, so played quite a lot. I could see it going into Quest Priest, but again, no real archetype for this. If a deck needs hard removal like this, it's probably pretty good, but no Priest deck really needs that right now, and they have board clears, they have silences. It's just not needed. It's an okay created by option, I would imagine, but overall, yeah, Drown is kind of drowning in a bad win rate. Oh, that was terrible. At number 3, we have a neutral card that was bugged, which made it pretty good, and now it's terrible, and that's Snapdragon. 3-mana 3/3 beast, Battlecry, give all Battlecry minions your deck +1/+1. Stats in Hearthstone don't matter unless you're a paladin for the most part and you just want a hand buff, and it's showing here as it's only in 0.3% of decks, 39.8% deck win rate, and played 980 times. Yeah, it's just like Keleseth. There's a reason it doesn't see play in Wild. There's a reason these cards don't really work anymore unless the stats really pile up quickly, which this just doesn't do. It's because stats don't matter. Removal is so good, combos are so good, card draw is so good, mana cheat's so good. You just don't care about a +1/+1 buff, and it is just really showing. At number 2, we have an absolutely terrible Demon Hunter spell. I predicted it to be bad. It's bad. Topple the Idol, 5-mana spell, Dredge, reveal it and deal damage equal to its cost to all minions. So it could be a 5-mana board clear, but who cares? You're playing Demon Hunter. It's in 0.09% of decks, 35.8% deck win rate, and played all of 240 times. It's just bad. Demon Hunter likes to go face. Demon Hunter likes to be efficient. Demon Hunter likes to fight for the board. This does absolutely none of those things, and as a result, the card sees absolutely no play, at least at Legend. And speaking of seeing no play, at number 1, we have the Druid card that I thought was absolutely terrible. That's absolutely terrible. Spirit of the Tides, 2-mana 2/2 elemental. If you have any unspent mana at the end of your turn, gain +1/+2. So effectively, you're paying 3 mana for a 3/4 that does absolutely nothing. That's terrible, and nobody is bothering to play this card at all, because at Legend rank, since the mini set, it is in 0% of decks. It's rounded down to 0% because the deck win rate 30.3%. and played 20 times. 20 times this card's been played, because why would you put this in your deck? The upside, the snowball effect of it requires you to constantly float mana in today's Hearthstone. Who can afford to do that? At least with the old Druid quest, you would get a permanent upside later. This just gives you meaningless stats in a game that just doesn't care about stats at the moment. So there you go, the worst cards so far. There's, again, no video on the best cards because they're not doing very well. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.